Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, our west coast became a potential combat zone. Living in that zone were more than 100,000 persons of Japanese ancestry, 2/3 of them American citizens, 1/3 aliens. We knew that some among them were potentially dangerous. Military authorities therefore determined that all of them, citizens and aliens alike, would have to move. Neither the Army nor the War Relocation Authority relished the idea of taking men, women, and children from their homes, their shops, and their farms. So the military and civilian agencies alike determined to do the job as a democracy should, with real consideration for the people involved.
They came to my bedroom, and they say, hey, buddy, wake up. I wake up and I ask them, what the hell you guys are? Then they flash FBI. He say, FBI. So I thought, what the hell did I do? One of the guys say, hey, get your coat on, man. I'm taking you in. I thought, what for? You're alien, enemy alien.
11 p.m., the FBI entered our home and arrested him and gave no reason. I asked him, when will he return? The FBI agent replied, you may never see him again.
In a short time, my father and 2 uncles were arrested and put in concentration camps. I have not seen my father since I was 11 years old. I am now 51 years old. I have missed my father very much, and I wonder I wonder if he's alive today.
So as a first step, all Japanese were required to move from critical areas such as these. But of course, this limited evacuation was a solution to only part of the problem. The larger problem, the uncertainty of what would happen among these people in case of a Japanese invasion, still remained.
As I passed my high school, I saw the American flag waving in the wind, and my emotions were in a turmoil. I thought of the prize-winning essay that I had written for my high school English class, and it was titled, Why I Am Proud to Be an American. As tears streamed down my face, an awful realization dawned on me. I am a loyal American, yet I had the face of an enemy.
And the Japanese themselves cheerfully handled the enormous paperwork involved in the migration.
A few months later, as I saw posted on the telephone poles in the storefronts, the Executive Order 9066, ordering all persons of Japanese ancestry to prepare for mass evacuation from the West Coast, my initial reaction was one of outrage.
Santa Anita Racetrack, for example, suddenly became a community of about 17,000 persons. The Army provided housing.
Our home for the next several weeks was one small room made in a horse stable. The floor of dirt, hay, and manure covered with asphalt. I still can smell the stench.
We spent a total of 6 months in Santa Anita. Hardly anything was ready for us when we arrived there. We slept in a stable only recently vacated by horses. The first day we were given a sack to fill with straws for our mattress. The smell of the animals never seemed to leave us.
They lived here until new pioneer communities could be completed on federally owned lands in the interior. And plenty of healthful, nourishing food for all.
Our diet at first consisted of brined liver, salted liver, huge liver, brown and bluish in color, weighing up to 20 pounds, and it would bounce if dropped. In other barrels were nothing but brined hearts of cattle. They were huge. The Japanese cook did everything to desalt the liver and the heart. Camouflage it in tempura, corn, any kind of okazu they could think of. But the subtle, horrible stench of brined liver and heart, frankly, was inedible.
Meanwhile, in Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, and elsewhere, quarters were being built where they would have an opportunity to work and more space in which to live. When word came that these new homes were ready, the final movement began.
Actually, it was nothing but 20 by 25 feet, a boxy barrack with roof, sides of pine wood, and covered with thin tar paper. Only. No attic, no insulation. The floor was also 1 by 6 inches, and they were put together. But the dry heat separated the pine floor and exposed cracks to 1/4 of an inch. Through this, the cold wind would blow in, or during the heat of the day, dusty sand would bellow through the cracks. For heat, 1 pot-bellied wood stove in the center of the barrack. I lived in one of the barracks with 3 other married couples. We were separated by sheet hanging from the bars, hanging across the room. Privacy, none. Squeaking on the bed, snoring, muffled conversation was readily audible. No running hot or cold water. We all had to go to common latrine outside in the cold or hot weather, day or night.
At each relocation center, evacuees were met by an advance contingent of Japanese who had arrived some days earlier and who now acted as guides. Naturally, the newcomers looked about with some curiosity. They were in a new area, on land that was raw, untamed, but full of opportunity. Here they would build schools, educate their children, reclaim the desert. Special emphasis was put on the health and care of these American children of Japanese descent.
It wasn't until after a year that they began some form of school program for us. And so that whole year, our greatest activity was just wandering around camp aimlessly.
The full story will begin to unfold when the raw lands of the desert turn green, when all adult hands are at productive work on public lands or in private employment. It will be fully told only when circumstances permit the loyal American citizens once again to enjoy the freedom we in this country cherish. We are setting a standard for the rest of the world in the treatment of people who may have loyalties to an enemy nation. We are protecting ourselves without violating the principles of Christian decency. And we won't change this fundamental decency no matter what our enemies do.
My students ask me if this can happen again to another group of people. I must answer yes. Until we have legislation which truly protects our constitutional rights and is not abrogated by executive orders and politically manipulated loopholes, we cannot take freedom for granted.